to the crib.
Looks down the field, fires, finds, scores! Touchdown, Fargo South!
Back to pass. He'll look to fire deep and intercepted! Stretchy, diving, he's in!
Olsen Telephone Company and R&J Broadcasting Incorporated is proud to present to you this broadcast on yourliveevent.com.
Welcome to the Taxman North Dakota Football Playoff Preview Show as we have 4 games remaining for high school football in the state of North Dakota. I'm Chase Miller alongside Jake Birkemeyer, and this is the Taxman, again, a North Dakota Football Preview Show. They have offices in Fargo and Moorhead open year-round. Make sure for more information to go online to fmtaxman.com. Jake, before I get to our 8 coaches that we have on the docket, what is the most intriguing game of the 4 championships from the Fargo Dome that we're going to see here on Friday?
I think all of them really got some good intrigue to them. Hard to pick a bad one. Really, the one that gets me, kind of okay. The Class Bs. I'm a Class B guy. I don't know if you watch these shows, you might tell I'm a Class B guy. But with the 9 men there, with Lamoure, Litchville-Marion, and Cavalier, 2 programs that have just been powerhouses here for a while, and we could see some points right away to start the day. Always a good thing, and then that rematch of a regular season is always fun to see in a championship game with HCV and Kindred there in that second game.
And to Jake's point, there's 3 games that are the second coming from the regular season. Cavalier and Lamoure Litchville-Marion is the first time that they've met this year, and that's okay for Jake being a Class B guy because I'm a Class A guy, Jake. So I think we got this 50-50, I think, a little bit here on the preview show. Let's dive into the matchups. So first up, the 9 a.m. hour, breakfast and football on a Friday morning from the Fargo Dome. It's the 9B championship as number 1 seed Lamoure Litchville-Marion faces number 3 seed Cavalier. Both teams are 11-0 on the season. Now, LLM was held to a season low 20 points in a game in their 20-6 win over Botno. The Lobos trailed early, but quarterback Corbin Ponce passed for 3 touchdowns, with 2 going to Charlie Bowman in the semis. Cavalier played what was an instant classic, a 36-34 road overtime win over New Salem Almont. Landon Carter caught the 2-point conversion pass from Bryson Clem to send the Tornadoes to the championship. Let's hear from the coaches. First up, Cavalier head coach, that's Mitch Greenwood. The Cavalier Tornadoes are back at the Fargo Dome for the Dakota Bowl for the 3rd straight season. With us as Cavalier head coach, that's Mitch Greenwood. And Mitch, I got to ask about that 2-point conversion. Clem threw it to Carter. You get the 2-pointer. Everyone starts going ballistic on the sideline. We could probably talk a couple of chapters of that game with the Holsteins, but let's go for the game-winning play. When you saw that you got the reception for the 2 points, just take us through the emotions of the next couple minutes there on the sideline.
Yeah, well, we knew that they had an awfully big defensive line. We knew all week long we weren't going to be able to run up the middle on these guys. So that was a play that we ran to the outside. We ran it a couple times in the overtime. It was the same play that we called to score the touchdown on in overtime. The only difference was we just told Landon Carter, we said, hey, you're the outside guy. Make it look like you're blocking, and then slip out the backside. And if they cover you, we should be open to run it. And if they come and play up hard against Bryson, you should be wide open, and that's what happened. So Bryson, he made it look like he was going to run the ball, and then the last second he flipped it over a couple defenders' heads and found a wide open Landon Carter in the end zone. And after that, it was a little bit of pandemonium. It was a roller coaster of emotions. The end of that game was just so many highs and lows, one after the other, that it's hard to even put into words. But we had to go back and watch the film a little bit because some of the details you couldn't even remember just live because there was so many emotions. So it was pretty intense.
You mentioned about the intense. I feel like you bookend the season, a close game with Enderle Maple Valley to open the year. You go down to Wymer Lidgerwood and go up against a really good quality opponent there in the Warbirds. Surrey was a slobber knocker 2 weeks ago, and then you probably had to pull out all the bag of tricks against the Holsteins. Battle tested, I think, might be a little underrated. I think you guys are over battle tested so far, Mitch, this season.
Well, we knew that was going to have to be what happened for us to reach this point in the season. We're a little bit undersized compared to the past couple of years. We're not the big physical power running team like we have been. So we just had to ramp up the intensity and, play extra fast and extra physical, but our guys really stepped up and did a good job of answering that.
What would a championship mean for this team? You've been so close the last couple of years. Anytime you make the Dakota Bowl, it's already been a great season no matter what, but there's always that one more win that you're looking for to be the champ, because only one team every year can be the champ in their respective divisions. What would it mean for this year's club, these seniors that have been there, that have played in those varsity championship games, being close? What would it mean for this year's club here, Mitch?
It would mean everything to this team. We've been talking about it since the beginning of the year, since before practice started when we handed out equipment. That was our number one goal. And, we've been really just kind of living that motto all season long. Even in some of the weeks where we knew we were going to play teams that were maybe lesser opponents, we talked about it, how that we're not preparing this week for this specific game. We have to keep our focus, and we are preparing for a state championship first and foremost. So, it's just been something that these kids have wanted really bad for a long time. They've gotten really close the last couple of years, and I think their will to win is going to be maybe what possibly puts them over the top this week.
Everyone, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, right? A 9 o'clock in the morning game, by the time you get to the Fargo Dome, the sun's barely going to be rising when you walk in. It might be dark out. Is this something where you practice inside for the 70, 72 degree temperature you're going to see, turf? Is this something where you try to practice early in the morning, just this week? I know some teams do it the entire season, Mitch. How does this game, change from a normal Friday night or a Saturday afternoon of what you see in the postseason?
From our experience the last couple of years, we've played 9 o'clock game and a noon game. And I just think you get to this point in the season, it's a state title game. The adrenaline is so high. It doesn't matter if it's 9 o'clock or noon or 7 o'clock in the evening on a Friday night. You put a state title on the line, and we're going to be ready to play at any time, anywhere. So, if you told us at the beginning of the year, hey, you can play in the state championship game, we would have signed up for a midnight game if that's what it took. Anything to get to this point. And once the whistle blows and kickoff is going on, we're going to be ready to go.
It's going to be a fun one. 2 unbeaten teams. You go up against number 1 seed Lamoure, Litchville-Marion head coach Andy DelaBarre's squad in the Lobos. I'm sure when you put them on film, a Potts, a Ness, a Lintmeier, they just got a lot of dudes and weapons as well. When you look at the Lobos, Mitch, not asking you to give the entire game plan away before Friday morning at 9 o'clock, but what's it going to be 1 or 2 keys for Cavalier? What's it going to take on your side of the ball? Because it's been tough to score against the Lobos, and it's a team that's been able to put up a lot of points against good quality clubs this year, Mitch.
Yeah, well, a couple of things we've talked about already this week is turnovers are going to be huge. We have to limit turnovers and then make some on defense. And then the big plays. We can't give up the home runs. It's going to be awfully tough to keep them out of the end zone. They're a very quality offense, well-coached team, but we got to make them earn it. If we're on defense, we got to make them go on some long drives. We can't give up those home run throws over the top and or the big long runs that they like to do. So, and then when we get the ball, we have to be able to go on drives, but then also be looking for some of those home runs as well and just capitalize on those situations.
Final thing for you, Mitch, before we let you go, because it is the final game for this senior class that they'll ever play, and it's what you want. You want your final game to be played in a championship. What has this senior class meant to you? And if you want to give a couple of words about each particular player, and maybe there's 1 or 2 statisticians or a team manager as well that maybe doesn't get some credit. What has this senior class just kind of meant to this year's Cavalier Tornado and this program, Mitch?
Well, we've got 6 seniors on this group, and I did see one of the moms posted a picture from them in middle school that was the same 6 that were playing together then. So they've come through a lot together. And, Bryson Clem's our quarterback. He gets a lot of the, he gets a lot of talk about him. He's a tremendous quarterback, tremendous player. He's been a leader on the field for us, just a smart kid. He studies film, and he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. Trevor Hinkle's another one that he just kind of does anything we ask him to do. He runs the ball, he catches the ball, he punts the ball, and he's racked up over 150 tackles for us this year. So, we can't explain, how valuable he is to us. And then we got Demetrius Avila kind of anchoring our offensive line. He's been a 2-year starter at center for us. He's a little undersized, but he's got the biggest heart in the world, and you can't hold him back. He's just tremendous what he brings to the team for just the energy level. Isaiah Lopez is the starting guard. It's his first year as a starter. He's worked really hard and kind of waited in the wings for this opportunity behind a couple of big all-state linemen the last couple of years, but he got in the weight room over the summer. He dedicated himself, and he's done just a fine job for us. Caden Demars is another senior that he's done a really good job this year. He's kind of, again, in his first year as a starting role. We didn't really know 100% where he was going to play. He started off at corner for us, and then kind of moved down to defensive end, and he's done just a really tremendous job there. Who am I forgetting? Ty Holmquist. He started on both sides of the ball for us for most of the year at wide receiver and at cornerback. And he's really brought his level of play up lately. He's been kind of a vocal leader for us. He gets excited and kind of wants to just win at all costs. So it's great to have him around. So that's kind of our senior group that we have, and we're going to miss them dearly next year. But just like Cavalier football, we've got other guys that are working hard too, and we'll find a way to replace them. But they'll be sorely missed.
It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens. Number 1 versus number 3. There's going to be some orange. There's going to be some black. It should be a lot of fun there in the Fargo Dome once you get things kicked off just after the 9 o'clock hour. Mitch, as always, thank you very much for your time. It's been fun from afar to see your run throughout the regular season, through the postseason here, and best of luck against the Lobos upcoming Friday morning.
All right. Thank you for having me.
The Tornadoes finished as runner-up against Kidder County in 2019 and Lytton HMB last season. They're looking for their first state title since 2014. Their opponent again, Lamoure Litchville-Marion. Here's Lobos head coach Andy DelaBarre. As we turn our attention now to Lamoure Litchville-Marion and the Lobos, head coach Andy DelaBarre with us. And Andy, congratulations first and foremost on making the state championship. What's that semifinal round game against Botno coming in? You knew they like to be a ground and pound team, control the clock. They get up early on you guys in the first quarter, but you find a way to come back. What'd you learn that semifinal round win, Andy?
Well, that's a good way to look at it, as learning something from that game, because Botno, a lot of credit to that team and those kids. They worked really hard. They're very physical. They had a great defense, and I think they proved that on Saturday. And for our boys to handle a little adversity there, we couldn't score kind of as easy as we had in the past, and just finding ways to get our ground game going, but also being able to score in the air. It was a good game. It was a good experience for us, and we learned a lot from it.
The one thing, obviously, Corbin Potts gets a lot of attention. Colton S. obviously gets a lot of attention, but I look down on the box score and see Charlie Bowman able to get some receptions as well. What has this senior class been like this year, understanding what it was last year as juniors? Now they knew that was going to be their last game ever at home, able to find a way to get a W to enter the 9-man game. How has Charlie, Corbin, and that senior class been throughout this year, Andy?
Yeah, no, they've been awesome. They've been great leaders, great attitudes, and I think they've upheld the kind of the motto of our team is just that we are one team. And so again, whether it's Charlie Bowman having a great game, or Colton Ness, or Corbin Potts, or Brady Lintmeier, that we're all in on this together. And so that's really the core value that I think our team has lived on, and I think those seniors have done a good job of reiterating that. And so, especially guys like Charlie, who I think lead this team in multiple facets. And so it was great to see him have a game like he did, and to have two really big plays on offense there like he did for us, and scoring those 2 touchdowns.
I know you've probably been asked early to start the season about the offensive firepower that you've had, but you've probably been asked just as many questions about defense, right? Pitching up a shutout, only allowing 3 teams to get on the scoreboard. To get a full quarter game like that, when maybe it's a turnover, maybe it's a bad special teams play, and your defense is still able to keep teams out of the end zone. What's been that recipe? I know you won't tell me everything. You're not gonna let it spoil it before the championship, coach. But what's been that recipe like so far, Andy?
It's been a lot of things, I think, that culminate to make not just a good team or a good defense, but specifically on defense is I think, again, going back to the leadership of those players and the ability to adjust and to play disciplined football. I think, defense, I think half of the battle is getting lined up right and being in good positions to make plays. And so I think all of our players are students of the game, and I think that they take that challenge on each week. And so whoever that opponent is, I think film is a big part of their routine throughout the week as well as it is ours. And so, they've learned to play with a lot of discipline, effort's a big thing, toughness, and really just keeping that next play mentality in mind, because our team's going to make plays. Absolutely. And Botno did, and other teams throughout the season. And it's just kind of taking that last play, wipe that slate clean and move on to the next one.
Can you talk about one of your guys, Brady Lintmeier, just in terms of what he's been able to do at running back? And I know obviously on the offensive side, you see the 100, you see the 200 yards on the ground, but how has he continued to evolve throughout the 2021 season here, Andy?
Yeah, he just gets to be a better runner, I think, every game. And I think the stats will show that here too. And, I think that's one position that the more experience you get to, the better you get at it, because it's something you're seeing live. And when it becomes a process that Brady doesn't need to think, he can just run. I think that's when he runs at his best. And he's certainly tough. And he almost looks, I hate to use this term, but almost like a methodical runner. But you see him twist and turn, and he just runs hard and breaks tackles. So when he's out in the open field, or when he's one-on-one with a defensive lineman, defensive linebacker or D-back, he's going to get us a couple extra yards.
I see on the film, and I just looking through the stats, but your team and your opponent in Cavalier, I see some seniors at quarterback, right, with Clement Potts. I see some playmakers on the outside. Obviously, probably the guys up front are saying, hey, we've done pretty well as well in the offensive and defensive line, Andy. When you take a look at Cavalier and their run again to another 9-man title game, their third straight year, what stands out when you put Cavalier on tape, so to speak, and who kind of bounces off the page?
Well, they're definitely well deserving of where they're at and what they've done throughout the season, and they're loaded with athletes too. I think that's why they've gotten to this point, just like us this season. They're well coached. I think you look at every one of their games, and they have a new scheme, and they have a new process. I think that they're trying to execute on offense. They're tough, they're physical, and you're right with their offense. I think with Clem and Hinkle in the backfield. That's a two-headed monster that they have, and it's produced very well for them this season. So again, credit to Cavalier for them growing throughout the season. I think they're playing better football now than they were earlier in the year, and so we're expecting it to be a good game. We'll say a clash of the Titans.
I think you've probably been asked this question a lot. 9 a.m. in the morning, coach. Why do we get the 9-10 game in the morning? But as a coach, hey, whether it's 7 at night, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or 9 o'clock in the morning, you're going to have a game plan. So what's been your game plan this week, Andy? Getting ready for, indoors, playing on the turf, don't have to worry about elements, and get ready for breakfast and football from the Fargo Dome.
Yeah, you're right. I think if you said, let's go meet in the parking lot at 3 a.m., we'd be there and play. It's just, it's one of those things we'll adjust to. And I think we're ultimately just trying to keep our kids' schedule on track here now. And, I think when it comes to that Thursday night, they're not going to rely on the sleep from that night as much as they will the night before. So, we'll try to keep that routine pretty similar to them throughout what we've done throughout the season. And again, whether that was at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., I think our boys are going to be up and ready to play some football.
Final thing for you, Andy, before we let you go, what would it mean, for a title? What would it mean to bring back home to Lobo country there a title for Lamoure Litchville-Marion football?
Well, I think it means just as much as it would to any other program to win a state championship. And what it means is all the hard work that these young men have put into the off season. I think, being 3 sport athletes and putting in effort and time elsewhere, and really for our community and those players' parents too, for the time and energy that they've put into it. And so, it doesn't just happen. You don't just show up and get to the state championship game. You don't just show up and win a state title. So it means a lot to our community and to those kids, mostly for the most part, our boys that, again, who've been putting all this hard work in throughout the season.
Hey, Andy, as always, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck with that clash against the Titans. Again, there's going to be some black, there's going to be some orange in the building. Should be a lot of fun Friday morning.
Yeah, I certainly will. Thank you.
For Lamoure, Litchville-Marion, their first championship game appearance since 2003 when they were an 11-man in Class A, losing to Belleville by 7. The Lobos in search of their first state title in 30 years when Lamoure beat Watford City in the Class B final back in 1991. Now we go to the second game. It's the 11B championship as number 1 seed Hillsboro Central Valley plays number 2 seed Kindred. HCV handed Kindred their only loss of the season way back on August the 27th as the Burros won 26-20 out in Kindred. Jake, you were at that game. What do you expect the second time around here between these two programs?
Better teams in that they both improved since that week, and they were both playing pretty well in week 2. So it should be a close matchup again. One way or the other, it's pretty tight. They can both do some things offensively with the run game and with the way the Burros pass game has gotten going for some chunk plays in the last few weeks to really help balance their things out. And then defensively, they got guys that can just fly around and make plays, and it should be a really good matchup.
The Burros routed Bishop Bryan 49-12 in their semifinal round win, while Kindred took care of Bowman County 51-19. Let's get into our coaches' conversations as we hear from Scott Olsen of HCV.
11B playoffs, North Dakota 11B playoffs, Dakota Bowl coming up on Friday, and Hillsboro Central Valley Borough head coach Scott Olsen joins us to preview the match coming up with Kindred and a rematch of week 2 in the regular season. But first, Scott, congratulations to you and your team back to the Dakota Bowl here with the run you've had here 4 times in 5 years. It's been a ride, and I'm sure it's still special to get there every year.
Yeah, no, we don't take it for granted at all. And like they said, it's our 4th time here in the last 5 or 6 years, whatever it is. And it's special. And I talked about to our kids and some parents and said, just, cherish it because it's going to go by in a hurry. And, it will be playing that game in no time.
I know every year, every team is different, but just having the guys gone through this week of preparation in the past, how does that change it as far as what you're able to do, what you're able to accomplish to get ready for the game?
Yeah, usually we get into UND indoor facility and get an inside practice rep on some turf, and then we'll keep everything else. The weather is not going to be as great this week, so we'll keep everything else inside. But conditioning wise, we're at where we're at, and there's not much else you can do. There's plenty of TV timeouts that we get, and extra time that we get in between plays or in between quarters and half. And so the conditioning part of it isn't a big thing for us, and we're used to it now. We know how it's gonna play out in terms of those TV timeouts, and but just the awe of being into the dome and on the field, and the new kids that haven't been there yet we'll get to experience that, and it's a special thing. And we're excited for Friday.
Yeah, really great to be in the dome this week. After last week, beautiful. This week they're talking not so great outside, like you said. So good that we didn't have to flip flop those weeks.
For sure, yeah. Last Saturday was beautiful out. Yeah.
Kindred, you faced them back in week number 2. As we kind of talked a little bit after Saturday, when you faced them, you guys are still figuring some things out after that season opening loss. So what did you figure out in that game, since that game here, as you look to the rematch?
As we watched that tape back against Kindred, our defense played better. Still, our run fits and our slanting, our D line wasn't the best. Something that we've gotten a lot better at, in our angles of attack and what our jobs are. And we look back in that. Alex Cotton had a great game. I think he had 5 or 6 deflections. We were able to do enough on offense to score 4 times with big toss play to Jace Leshik for 87 yards. Kind of gave us broke it open. Then we did enough defensively. I think we had 3 interceptions. We're going to need that effort again defensively to win on Friday.
You go back to the quarterfinal round, you were facing the Central Cass team who you had lost to in the regular season. You were hungry to get that revenge. As a coach now, with the script flipped a little bit for you, you beat the Vikings. Kindred wants to come back, maybe a little extra hungry because of that. How do you do that as a coach?
I think just because it's this game, it's the championship game. I'm not worried about that part of it. Both teams are going to want to win so bad that hopefully it doesn't affect your focus and you're able to focus on the job at hand. And I'm sure they'll be hungry, but we want a state championship, so we want to be just as just as hungry as they are.
Well, what's it come down to for the Burros to do to hoist that title?
Yeah, just eliminate mistakes. And every game we seem to have one or two either bad pitches or bad mistakes on penalties, and it's something that we can fix, and we'll have to fix if we want to raise that trophy at the end of the day.
All right, Scott Olsen, head coach for Hillsboro Central Valley. The Burros going to the Dakota Bowl, taking on the Kindred Vikings on Friday. Scott, thanks for the time. Best of luck on Friday. We'll see you there at the Dome.
Yeah, thank you.
The Burros won the 2017 title in Class A and the 2019 title in Class AA. As for their opponent in Kindred, it's the second time they made the Dakota Bowl since 2016. The Vikings in search of their first football title in program history. Let's hear from Vikings head coach Matt Crane.
Dakota Bowl preview, Class 11B, with the head coach of the Kindred Vikings, Matt Crane, joining us. And Matt, thanks for the time. Congratulations on getting to the Dakota Bowl. First off, before we talk too much about the semifinal and everything, what's it mean to get to this Dakota Bowl back here on that championship stage?
Yeah, it's thanks for having me. Yeah, it means a ton. Yeah, I mean, these kids worked really hard to get here. I know every team is in that boat. It's a long, tough season, and the ball's got to bounce your way sometimes, and you got to find a way to win tough games, and our team was able to do that and earn that opportunity. So we're excited about it.
Looking at the playoff run for you, a couple tight ones to start off before a bigger margin of victory there in the semifinal against Bowman County. What's been the success for the Vikings here in the postseason?
Yeah, I think you can never take a game for granted. I mean, there's every single game we played was against a team that deserved to be there. I mean, and it was a team that we had to fight and scratch and claw in those first couple of games. We were down in the fourth quarter and had to come back and win those games. I mean, it was something that I was very proud of our kids to fight through that adversity and to find a way to win those games. And so something that was really necessary for us to kind of get where we are now. And so that's been really good. And it's just an exciting time for us right now to be able to check those boxes, get those wins, and to put us in a position that now we have an opportunity to play for a championship.
Those late game performances, that adversity you talked about, and credit to your kids, haven't had to deal with a whole lot of those this season. You've been on top in pretty much almost every game, but what does it say about the guys that they can do that old adage of learning how to win and close out those late games?
Yeah, I tell the boys, winners find a way. And that's kind of the adage that we use. It's no matter what happens in a game, you have to believe that you're going to be able to be the ones that come out on top. And they do, and they believe that, and they're going to fight to the last minute, knowing that they're going to get an opportunity to go win that game. And so when you have that belief and you have a belief in each other, and anything's possible. And so we were able to come out with a couple of wins there, and in a couple of games that we needed to. So that was fun. But in a game that you got two quality opponents, sometimes it comes down to the last play, where someone's got to go make a play. And so you got to have 11 guys on the field that know they can do it.
Talk about being winners and guys that have, in addition to on the football field, won in other sports too. How does that help build the culture of we're going to go out there and be winners?
Yeah, it's big time. I mean, we're fortunate enough to win Class B basketball last year, we have some players that were on that championship team, and winning breeds winning, and so success builds upon itself, and so we have a good thing going right here, and with a class and a group of kids that understand that, and so they know what they have to do, and hopefully we can keep it rolling on Friday afternoon.
Hillsboro Central Valley week 2, you faced them. They ended up getting you at your place. What do you take from that matchup, using it here as you get ready to face them on Friday morning?
Yeah, we take a lot from it, but at the same time, it was week 2, so we go back and we look and just kind of see what the chess match was in that game, X's and O's wise, how they aligned to certain formations, how we played their stuff, and so I know both coaching staffs are going to be really dialed into that piece of it. But then, you look at the rest of the year and you see how those teams, both teams, us and Hillsboro Central Valley has improved a ton, and so they're going to be 2 totally different teams towards the end of the year now, and certainly playing at a much higher level and than they were, trying just to catch their breath in week 2. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and should be a good one.
It should be. Certainly looking forward to it. Matt Crane, head coach for the Kindred Vikings. Coach, thank you so much for your time here today. Appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you there on Friday.
Well, thanks again for having me.
Now to 11A's title game. It's a West Region affair as Bismarck St. Mary's plays against the only team to beat them this season in the Jamestown Blue Jays. The Blue Jays topped the Saints 20-7 in the Buffalo City on September the 10th. St. Mary's won a hard-fought contest against Dickinson in the semifinals, while Jamestown jumped out early and never trailed against Fargo North. Blue Jays quarterback Peyton Holkhalter passed for 5 touchdowns, with 4 of them going to Adam Kallenbach. Here's Jamestown head coach Bill Nelson on the Blue Jays run to the championship. Well, Bill, congratulations on making it to the Dakota Bowl. It's been a fun run to see your guys' high-flying offense against Red River and Fargo North in the quarters and the semis. I know there's more to it than that, but first 2 games of the playoffs, 2 wins gets you to a rival and a team that you've played before here this season in Bismarck St. Mary's. How has your road to the Fargo Dome been so far here in the month of November, Coach?
It started, I would say it started a little bit of rough, but I probably owe some thanks to Devil's Lake, because we went into that game at a little nagging injuries, nothing real serious, sat a few guys and we got our teeth kicked in, and kudos to our kids. They found a way to win in overtime, and we got out of there, and that kind of jump-started some things because we challenged the kids, and the last 2.5 weeks they've been, as we would like, one of our coaches always calls it laser focused. They have been. They've executed the game plans. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Now, there's some other things that we got a couple guys back, and a couple of those guys, if it was we knew it was the last game of the year, we probably would have played them. But we didn't. And like I said, you took a chance, and thankfully we were able to get a W. So now you get to host a playoff game, and we haven't hosted a playoff game in here in a while, and we're playing at the new beautiful Hanson Stadium over at UJ. And if you've seen pictures, or it doesn't do it justice, it's a lot of fun. We're not painting lines, we're not cutting grass, we're not doing all those little things. Now there's other things we have to do. We'll come and play in a new facility, but it's pretty easy to get excited to play in a place like that. Now, I'm a little nostalgic. I like Ernie Gates Field too, so we're playing football in November. No one's going to complain.
You're not going to complain about that. And you're going up against a team that's been there a lot, right? It seems like just forget the pencil, just pen St. Mary's in to the Dakota Bowl. Yeah. It feels like for the last decade here, but you guys gave them their only loss this season way back on September the 10th, Bill, shutting out the Saints in that second half. Can you take a lot from that game? And also, what did that game do for this Blue Jay club here in 2021?
At this point of the year, everybody's 0-0. Like we talk about, we only talk about going 1-0 every week. But it's one of those where you have the confidence factor because you can do it. And that's a huge thing. We hadn't been able to solve the Smrekar Saints jinx, not jinx, but we had good games with them. In the past, we couldn't get over the hump, and our corners aren't the tallest. They'll fight tooth and nail. And we ended up rolling Adam Kallenbach down to play a corner and to match up on their best receiver, and brought another young man in Paris Deacon back at the safety spot, and things just clicked, and we were able to be real physical with them up front at the line of scrimmage. We moved the ball. We were very opportunistic. I think we had 4 picks, throughout the game. So that's defensive backs doing a great job, D-line getting good pressure, you know what I mean, from that standpoint. So it's one of those where the kids were very opportunistic. They did a great job, but they also know that they've gotten a lot better since we played the first time, and we've gotten better since we played the first time. So it's kind of a catch-22. Come 2:30 on Friday, it ain't going to matter who won that first match. It's about moving the chains. It's about getting stops, and it's about, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes is going to end up with the W.
Give me a couple unsung heroes, because I know obviously Peyton and kind of what he's had to go through with a broken clavicle. You got Adam Kallenbach, obviously been a nice 1-2 combination here throughout the season in the playoffs. A Braun there at running back. But give me some guys, Bill, that maybe don't get the press clippings. Maybe you see from a coach's, your coaching staff sees, but maybe for the average Joe that's sitting up in the stands or, going on social media the next day to see the big highlight plays. Who are some guys that have gotten Jamestown football here to this opportunity on Friday afternoon?
And this is the unique thing, because it's not just one kid. I mean, we have a lot of really good football players, and we have a very good team. And it's one where I can start with, we were a better passing team than we were a running team to start the year. And Jackson Walters jumps in on it with me. He was our emergency quarterback the whole time. But so he's been taking reps. He knows the offense. He's a very intelligent kid. And, he's probably a better runner than he's a passer. However, his pass game continued to get better and better. And we're 4-2 when Peyton was out, so on the flip side of that, guess what came along? Our run game came along quite heavily. So the offensive line, which, I'm an old guy with a hand in the dirt, and you want to see guys playing to the whistle, you know what I mean? And that as an offensive line, only one of those guys, Thomas Almer's a 3-year starter. The rest of those guys are first-year starters. To come where they've came from week 1, you know what I mean, to now. And then I'm going to flip defensive line too, because those guys don't get a lot of love. We play a 3-4, so our linebackers make a lot of plays, but we've got a very disruptive physical front, on both sides of the ball. And that we talk about winning the line of scrimmage. I don't care if it's offensive, defensively. Big guys don't get the love that they deserve, and it's not. But if you talk to the kids on our team, it doesn't matter who scores the touchdowns. It doesn't matter who gets the yards, the names and the highlights. They just want W's. That's kind of been the senior class since they were freshmen, and they've led the way in the junior. We got a really good group of juniors in the top. Everybody's just, bought into that concept. And there's so many unsung that I don't know if you want to sit and talk to me long enough, because I could go through a lot of kids, that kids have made sacrifices. We got some kids playing some positions that, maybe that probably when they were younger, they got put in a position because they had so many skill guys. Do you know what I mean? And if we had a couple more, other bodies, they might be in a different spot. Does that make sense?
It does.
Coming from with that. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. I mean, they don't need to hear it, but it's like, I played fullback my junior year in high school. I started, I wasn't like Al Bundy, Polk High or anything like that. You're too young to remember that. But my coach goes, Hey, Nelly, I need you to play guard this senior year. I was a 9-man guy. Coach, whatever the team needs. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? And that's what this team is, and so it's going forward. They're very unselfish. Does everybody want to play all the time? Yes, they do. Find me somebody who doesn't want to touch the ball. You know what I mean? Even linemen want to touch the ball from time to time, but as long as we've got more points than the opponent at the end of the day, there's not going to be too many sad faces in Blue Jay football. I'll tell you that right now.
And I'll tell you what, Bill, too, from some of the coaches, I won't name them, but some of the coaches, they've said Jamestown's been the hardest team that we've had to go up against in terms of that physicality. So to your point about, some of the linemen play up front, people have definitely noticed here throughout the season. Final thing for you, Bill, before you let you go. What would a title mean? I always ask this to coaches at the very end. I know when you take a look at lineage, everyone has a different story for all 8 teams that have found themselves at the Dakota Bowl, from 9-man all the way up to 11 AA. You've had to kind of bounce through some divisions here in the last couple of years. What happened last year as well, just kind of with all the COVID situation before the West Fargo Sheyenne game. So for this team, going into this season with that senior class, that upperclassmen, to find themselves at the Fargo Dome, it's been a couple decades since Jamestown football has been in a title game. What would it mean, Coach, for this team to bring it back to the Buffalo City and try to cap off a pretty special year?
Well, I'm going to give you a date, 1937. That says enough right there, and it's this isn't just this group of kids. This started back years ago, you know what I mean? And these guys have bought into what we've asked them to do, and we probably train and practice a little bit different than the average team, just of how we do. Because the ultimate goal is you want to get the freshest team, you know what I mean, come Friday night, and it's one where we ask our kids to do a lot year round, and a lot of teams do, you know what I mean? We're not doing anything groundbreaking from that, but the unwavering support has been phenomenal. As we're talking, I just got 2 emails from 2 different teachers wanting, is there any way we can get kids into their elementary schools? And we were supposed to have school on Friday. I had all these cool ideas like, God, could we get like a youth parade set up? And, could we get, because I was like, all right, here's the deal. I think we could if we get everybody to Hanson Stadium, we could do an I Believe chant. So at homecoming every year, I take the seniors and the juniors, we go to the middle school and we get the I Believe chant going on. And by the time we're done, the entire middle school, 600 kids, is on the floor, jumping up and down like crisscross hip hop with our I Believe chant. You know what I mean? And our guys just freaking love it, and it's like, if we can get the middle school, the little guys, the young guys excited, everything else takes care of itself, So the older I get, the sappier I get. And it's like, you think about, there's certain things that we don't talk about. We don't talk about winning state championship games. We talk about doing things right. Doing things right is going to lead you down a successful path. And we've got you follow me on social media. I've got my different catchphrases with the WIT is whatever it takes. The FOE is family over everything. And the LEO is love everybody. And my hashtag that an X, not an X, but a guy that used to be here with us. He didn't like, it was better.every.dave. It's not a hashtag. Well, it's my hashtag. So tough. But that's what's on all our stuff. And these kids know every single day we're getting better. And it may be more of a football thing. You know what I mean? It's, hey, I need to pick it up in math. I need to, what would it hurt if I held the door open for 5 kids today when I walk into the school? You know what I mean? And then instead of just worrying about me. And it's, they hear day one when we meet as a team, and that fall meeting, my job is to serve them. I'm here to serve the kids, and you're here to serve the coaches, and we're going to do whatever it takes to take care of business on Friday afternoon. I'll tell you that right now. So, but that being said, understand that I have the utmost respect for Coach Smrekar. First time I played him 5 years ago, I wasn't ready. I didn't know about the handshake, and he almost tore my hand off my body. He's never gotten me since then. I get him every time now, but to do what he's done and at that high level for as long, I joked with him the first year I met him. I said, Coach, don't take this the wrong way, but you've been a head coach for 1 year longer than I've been alive. Coach, I think that, and he laughed, and we laughed about it, but it's like, look at the longevity that guy had. 27 years ago, we were in this game. Guess who was the head coach for St. Mary's? 27 years ago, where was I sitting at? I was a freshman. I was a dumb freshman in college. No, I was a sophomore in college then. Yeah, sophomore in college. I'm like, yeah, anyhow. So, but we're beyond excited to be going to the Dome. But that's not the end goal. Getting there is just not the end goal. So,
hey, Bill, I very much appreciate the candor going back and forth here.